Hello adventurers, do you want to know which basics tool do you need to carry with you when you go off-road, especially in a desert like this one? So sit back, relax and enjoy this episode with Bu Zayed. Hello everyone, welcome to this new episode. I hope you have watched the first episode of the road to the off-road and you know the basics of driving in the desert. Now let's come to the tools that you need to carry when you go off-road. We'll start first with safety tools. So first thing, fire extinguisher. Make sure you have fire extinguisher in your car and make sure it's an easy reach to you when something happens for you or to any other cars of your friends when you go off-road. And make sure that your fire extinguisher is maintained at all time and it can be used whenever you need it. Then make sure you have a first aid kit. Now there are different first aid kits in the market. However, I chosen to make my own first aid kit, and the way this one is, it have an easy access to me whenever I need it. So look for the market to the one that suits you and the one that is more suitable for the type of off-road you do. And then after the first aid, you should have gloves. Now there are different types of gloves for different types of use. So if you, for example, want to use a winch in your car, there are different type of gloves. If you want to work on your car, especially the engine bay when it's hot, you have a different type of gloves. If you just want to work around your tires, you have different types of gloves. So get the gloves that suits you the best. And then the other safety equipments that you should have is a safety flag. Now mine is actually in two pieces that connect to each other. The reason is it's easier to store it in the car. So get one that is long enough to be seen when you're around dunes, for example. Don't get really short one because no one will see you. The main job is for the safety flag is to alert other people around you that you're in the area. And then when you go off-road, you should have a two-way radio communication. I have this one and I have a built-in one. Check which one is more suitable for you. Check the rules and regulation in your country when it comes to two-way radio and get one that is, in my recommendation, the one you can actually enter the frequency digits on it, so you can use it between different clubs. And then if you don't want to get lost in the desert or anywhere you go off-road, make sure you have a proper GPS, a GPS that have a tracking option on it. There are some GPSs in the market that is only meant to be used for the road. It's not meant to be used off-road. So make sure you get one with tracking option. There are some applications on the mobile apps that are really good for such thing, and they can track you when you go off-road. I'll put a link to some of them down on the video, so make sure to check them out if you don't have a GPS with you. And then, of course, since you're in a desert, you need to have a shovel. There are different types of shovels. There is this very famous one, the foldable one, that have a really sharp tip over here. This is not meant to be used for the desert. It's meant to be used for rocks, basically. However, for sand, you need something like this one. You have a nice big edge to it, and this one can also be extendable because sometimes you need to reach deeper under your car if you're stuck in the sand. And it's aluminum, so it's really light and your car doesn't take much space, and it's really good. After that, we'll come to the jack. When you go off-road, make sure you have a really good jack the one I use is this one. There we go. So it's a hydraulic jack. It is 2.25 ton capacity. It can lift. Now my car is about 2 tons. The thing that so many people, when they go and shop for a hydraulic jack, they think that it should take the whole weight of the car. The thing is, you will not be using this jack to lift the entire car. All you need to do is lift one side of the car, because you will most probably be changing one of the tires or to fix a pop-out. So you don't need that much of power. This one should be more than enough for your car. It depends on which car you have, but this one is good enough for most of the car. I would say 2 tons to 2.25. And of course, if you're putting your jack on the sand, it will sink. So get a board like this one. Depends on the size of your jack. Make sure it's thick enough, not a very thin one, so it doesn't break and can take the weight of the car when you lift it with the jack. And the question I get asked a lot is, why don't I use the jack that comes with the car? You know, that the one that you have to screw. There's like a big screw in the middle. You'll see on the picture here on the side. This one is having a really small base, and there are other ones that comes like a hydraulic one but also have a small base, and also the hand on the top is really small, so there are this risk of the car slipping away of it, especially when you go in the desert and you want to lift the car in an uneven surface. So the one that comes with the car is meant to be used for the road, when you have a really proper surface to lift up the car, not in the desert. That's why when I go in the desert, I always carry my hydraulic jack with me. Now let's come to the towing rope. There are 3 types of towing ropes. There is one towing rope, which is the most famous one, usually comes in the color of yellow color, and then you have the snap strap, this one, and then the third type, which is my favorite, is the kinetic towing rope. What's the difference? Which one is good for you? Now the first one, the tow rope, the yellow one I spoke about, I'll put a picture of it over here. This one is meant to tow the car. It's not meant to recover a car like a stuck car, because it have only 1% to 2% of stretch factor to it. So when you try to recover a car with it, you might actually damage your car and the other car. On the other hand, the snap strap have about 5 to 7% of stretch factor to it. So it's a bit safer when you try to recover a stuck car. And then my favorite one, the kinetic rope, have about 30+% of stretch factor to it, and it can take a big hit, and the recovery will be a smooth one with a really good strong pull as well. Now there are different types of weight that these tow ropes can take. It depends on which car you have. The formula that you have to think about is, I'll give you an example with my car. So my car is, let's say, 2 tons. I have to times this one by 3. And the question is, why by 3? Is because when the car is stuck, and no matter which situation it is, you'll have to add the weight because of the pull of the gravity, or probably the sand stuck under it, so you have to pull that one as well. So the safest way to go is to time the weight of your car by 3. Now 2 times 3 is 6 ton. So when I look in the market for a tow rope, I need to look for something that can stand 6 ton plus. Now this one, the one I use, it can take up to 15 to 16 tons, which is really suitable for me. Now, don't go really high. So for example, if my car, I need 6 plus, I don't need to go all the way to some tow rope that can take about 30 or 35 tons. That's just too much for my car and for the other car as well. So this is the formula when it comes to the tow rope. And then when you want to tow, you'll have to look for the recovery points in your car and the other car, and use a shackle. There are two different types of shackle. There is the metal shackle and there is the soft shackle, my favorite. The metal shackle, as you see on the picture, it's widely used. However, the safest way to recover a car is using a soft shackle, because this shackle is made from the same material that's being used for the kinetic rope, so it can take a lot of weight. At the same time, if something goes wrong and let's say the tow rope got cut or something, this one, when it pulls back, if it hits the car, or hurt somebody, it will create a small damage, but not a fatal one. However, when you have the metal shackle, if it's snapped, if it hits something, it can actually damage the car horribly, and it can damage people, body, or in some cases kill someone. So get a soft shackle. Now let's come to the tire. When you go off-road, make sure you have a tire pressure gauge. There are different types in the market. There is the digital one and there is the analog one. Everyone have, its advantage and disadvantage. However, I do like the analog one. The only reason is the electrical one, it might just die on you because of some electrical problem, or the battery might go dead. So analog is the one to go with. And then you need to have a deflator to deflate your tire pressure when you go off-road. There are different types. So there's this deflator, the very famous one. There are some people who use these tools to remove the pin out of the tire, take the air out, and then they measure the pressure with their pressure gauge. And also there is the JT Brooks deflator. Ones you can set up to a specific pressure, and then you can just put it on your 4 tires and it will deflate at the same time and stop by itself. So there are different options in the market. And when you go off-road, make sure that you have a spare tire in a really good condition. You don't want to stuck in the desert with a blown tire and then you don't have a tire to take you back to the road. Last thing we'll talk about here is the compressor. Now I have a built-in compressor in my car, as you can see in the picture. There are different types of compressor in the market. However, I do recommend that when you shop for a compressor, an air compressor for your car, make sure that the liter per minute is 150 plus. The reason behind this is, first, it will be fast, so that's a good thing. Second thing is, when you have a pop-out and you're not on a flat surface, you will need that much power to bring the tires back on the rim. So when you shop again for a compressor, make sure to have 150 liter per minute plus compressor to help you when you go off-road. So that will cover the most important tools that you need when you go off-road. Of course, there are some people might take more items with them. It all depends on what type of off-roader you are, and depends on the things that you do when you go off-road. It all depends on you. So these are the basic ones. for now when you want to go off-road. So make sure to have these tools, and then you can add whichever tools you want. This is it for me for the tools, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this episode helped you decide which tools to go with for your next adventure. Stay tuned for my next episode on the road to the off-road. This is Bu Zayed, and see you on the next adventure.